Hello, and welcome to my final project management presentation. My project, I got to work with the Violence Prevention Programs Office with my project sponsor, Virginia Sloan, who is the Violence Prevention Programs Coordinator. I had a really incredible opportunity to work on a marketing plan for Green Dot, which is a violence prevention it's sort of a curriculum, but it's more of a force of cultural change. So really it rests a lot on marketing, and that's going to be implemented this fall and spring semester after I graduate. Green Dot will address the vulnerabilities in the systemic response and cultural campus community norms at the University of Idaho that nurture an environment that inadvertently encourages low reporting of incidents of sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking, and lack of offender accountability. Our campus culture inadvertently encourages low reporting of these issues due to numerous and multifaceted reasons, including, but not limited to, students growing up in a culture that glorifies violence, sexual objectification of women, and misogynism, while sending mixed messages to men about what masculinity means, and to women about what their role and value in our society is. This is also due to a lack of education on the subject, a lack of knowledge within campus groups as to what qualifies as sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking, social stigmas that encourage victims to stay silent. The problem goes on. A lack of offender accountability is also reinforced by our campus culture's acceptance of cultural violence, as well as a lack of incentive or practical tools and education for students on strategies for standing up to these incidents of violence. Green Dot prevents a research-based marketing opportunity to change these cultural norms. Green Dot incentivizes students socially to stand up to instances of violence on all points throughout the spectrum of violence, from racist or homophobic jokes to sexual assault or other forms of physical violence on our campus. Green Dot is based on diffusion theory, which states that if leaders adopt behavioral and attitudinal change, the majority of their peers will do the same. While Green Dot's goal is cultural change in regard to violence, the goal of my project was to develop a marketing plan that specifically developed Green Dot-focused social media and promotional media campaigns targeting the University of Idaho student population. This was done to ensure a smooth launch of Green Dot in the fall and spring semesters. The social media and sort of awareness marketing campaigns will successfully position Green Dot as culturally acceptable and highly desirable through the communication channels that I've established and the media tools that I've put in place. The branding of Green Dot is universal in its marketing efforts, and it embraces and welcomes all individuals and campus groups in its targeting. A crucial part of making this project successful was meeting with my sponsor on a regular basis. What made this plan and this project unique in terms of the other projects that were done in this class is that I worked very closely with my sponsor in creating this marketing plan. And while I did have a lot of autonomy over the marketing plan that I did make up, everything that I created had to be checked through her because it was her name absolutely on the line while I was donating my time as a student. Part of the action plan that I put together and a few of the deliverables that I gave was I created a Twitter account. I also created a Facebook account. I came up with the hashtag VandalGreenDot and the brand name VandalGreenDot, as will be known on all social media platforms. And I developed a few unique sort of marketing awareness campaigns to build brand awareness and brand recognition with VandalGreenDot. I also coordinated with Max Cowan, our student president, and he developed a logo for Vandal Green Dot for us, and he also developed the banner, which went on the back of the Facebook page and is also on the back of the Twitter page. My suggestions in my marketing plan included a brand image plan. It required a draft that was going to be due a week before a final meeting with the major stakeholders that will be involved with Green Dot on campus. And then finally, it did conclude in a final meeting with all these major stakeholders, which I Skyped in on and actually turned out to be a complete disaster. So I'll talk a little bit about that now. As far as results went, the marketing plan went over very well with our Green Dot sponsors. So while I was working closely with Virginia, Virginia was also reporting to someone above her who was a national representative for the national Green Dot brand. And so my marketing plan I submitted through Virginia, and we edited together, and then she sent it off to this woman, Jennifer. And it seemed like everything was great. She appreciated the plan. She thought that everything looked like it was good to go, but she wanted to make sure that there were a few tweaks that were done, which were fine. I had put aside some time to address those risks. One thing, though, that we didn't count on was that there would be many technical difficulties with setting up this major meeting. Now, the meeting at the very end invited all of the major stakeholders within the university who would touch Green Dot or who would be involved in any way. It was supposed to be an introductory meeting for all of them as to what Green Dot was. And the marketing plan was supposed to be in place so that we sort of had a little bit more of a, this is what we're planning on doing in the fall. This is where we think these major stakeholders can play in, and to give them a better idea about what Green Dot is actually going to look like on our campus. And we ran into technical difficulty after technical difficulty at this meeting. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. The Green Dot national spokesperson did not understand where her job was. She hadn't read any of the preliminary material that we had sent her except for my marketing plan. And she had a completely different understanding about what this meeting, what the objective of this meeting was than what we had understood. Luckily, I had actually planned on this risk, and I put it down in the risk register as well as naming it as being out of scope in the project charter. So that was a great way of dealing with this. There was nothing I could have possibly done, but just knowing that that was out of my scope, that wasn't my responsibility, was a great thing to have addressed at the beginning, and that was a great lesson to learn, or to be reaffirmed about. I just want to thank you all for listening to my presentation. Thanks for your time, and look for Green Dot in the fall and spring semesters at UI.